We're not here to make up the numbers, we're here to compete as well. This squad, with the power they have on their day, they can do anything they want.
Hello, welcome to the Stourbridge FC Women's Monthly Press Conference. Bit of a special today, pre-season. It's been a couple of weeks, or a couple of months actually, since we've done an interview like this with you, Andy. So thank you for inviting us back down, really appreciate it. We've got quite a few questions today from social media and some of our friendship groups as well, so plenty to get into. Andy, first of all, how's your summer been?
Busy, yeah, very, very busy. People have said, well, it's as you've just said beforehand, off camera. It's good to be back, and we haven't been away really. To be honest, me, Mike, and a lot of the people behind the scenes, it's been hectic, and as you'll hear in some of the responses today, tough at times, but exciting as well. It's a big challenge ahead, and that started the moment we started pre-season, the moment we started focus on Tier 3. The challenges have already been faced head on really from us. So it's been a really, really busy summer and continues to be.
You said that you was busy, but have you had time to actually reflect on your successes? Now there's been quite a few weeks since that season finished.
No, it's been tough, really. I mean, that's one of the regrets to date, really, at this moment. As I just pointed out over your shoulder there, just looking at the trophy in the cabinet. We've enjoyed the successes of the presentation and the awards evenings and all that kind of stuff, but you kind of, we finished the presentation. I was back in Monday meeting with the chairman and the vice chairman straight away about what next season looks like. So it's been kind of all go and focus on next season. You don't really get time, once you've finished the season, to kind of reflect on what you've just done, which is tough, and that's the downside of it all. There are moments you can reflect on, and then you see pictures pop up, and I like, what I'm like on social media. I like to post a picture now and then, just because it's important to self-reflect, and that's why I do that sometimes. Look back at some of the images we have throughout the season to do that. So it's great, and as I said, just looking at the trophy behind you, it was a little nice moment there, because we haven't thought about too much about actually what on earth we just done. The good moments are being able to look at the league we're in now, looking at the pyramid that came out this week was great, and be able to see the fixtures and actually realising, wow, where are we? So that's the reflective side of it, which is good.
You quoted about 13, 14 months ago when you got promoted from Tier 5 to Tier 4 that we don't stop, and you didn't. I think that came quite a catchphrase around the team last season. So that was kind of your strategy going into Tier 4. Have you got a strategy going into Tier 3?
Don't go down. Listen, I think we've got to face reality. Reality is, on paper we're in a relegation battle. There's nobody can go. Nobody will look at that league and go, Stourbridge are gonna finish in the top 4. Okay. What I would say is that I said it in the presentation. I always like to have a little bit of a catchphrase, and I think it was something along the lines of, Tier 3 we come, because, and I think the chairman said it. I think we're capable of causing some surprises and shocks, and I'm hoping that's what we're gonna intend to do this season. There's been some shocks and surprises already with the group. The way they've changed. I know there's questions about that later on, but the whole ethos and mentality of the women's team has completely shifted, and that's full credit to all the staff behind the scenes and every single player. So for me, it is a bit of a look out for us, and don't look at us on paper and go, actually you're in a relegation battle. We know where we are. We know what the challenges we face. We know we're facing full-time professional players. But if there's one group that can shock that and surprise that, it's this group for sure. So as I said, here we come.
Andy, you've been in the women's game for quite a few years, and your assistant manager Mike Harris has as well. But has this summer kind of given you any surprises inside Stourbridge or maybe outside of Stourbridge as well?
Yeah, it's been the biggest shift of the women's game in my time ever. In the last 2 to 3 months, the women's game has evolved massively, massively. And I've spoken to a lot of people behind the scenes, and they've gone, well, is that because you're stepping up into tier 3? It's part of that, but I think if we were facing 12 months ago tier 4, the shift and the challenges would still be there, because we know that tier 4 teams are paying the expenses. We know that players are getting the advantages that Stourbridge players have had over the last 2 or 3 seasons in tier 4. So it's not just a tier 3 situation. It is an evolving sport, which is fantastic. There's absolutely no mounds or grounds like other clubs and other managers have openly said about us in the past, where we've paid expenses. It is an open arms from us as a club. What it will do is put us down the pecking order, and it has done. When you're fighting with your Newcastles, who have signed every professional player that they can, or making players professional, and so on. The first game of the season, you got Nottingham Forest who've just come out and said they're all professional. But that's exciting, and that's great, and we should be embracing that. I think I said to you all, I said 5 years, didn't I? It's happened in a year.
Yeah,
it's happened in a year. So your top 4 or 5, and I've spoken to other managers last week, or other manager who's team have been in the top 2 or 3 of the National League tier 3, and even they're saying that potentially they cannot compete with some of the changes. So the whole women's game has evolved, even in the last, like I say, 2 to 3 months, and it's fantastic. What it does is it puts little old Stourbridge, it puts us back a little bit in terms of where we're going to be able to compete and fight financially, but we've just got to make sure we do everything right to challenge those teams, and it's bloody exciting is what I would say. And fair play that this tier is becoming professional, because it should do, because it's starting now to align with your men's football, isn't it? It's what we all want. Filter down, professional contracts, professional side of the game, down to 2, 3 and 4, and that's where it's going.
It appeared at the end of last season that maybe a few of the players had a couple of weeks off. I know some people hit the gym right away, and some decided to take a break abroad, etc. And then obviously you had a meeting with them all individually, just to discuss the expectations for tier 3. Were you happy with the responses that you received?
I'm amazed by John Real. I'm absolutely amazed. Listen, we sat in this boardroom, me and the lads and Andy Bullingham, and we spoke about, we'd won the league at this point, and we spoke about, right, what we're going to do. And we sat with every single player on this table, and we started to talk about where we needed to go, what we needed to do, what we need to pull back on to save money, to be able to extend the budget, to be able to try and pull in bigger player contracts. And I sat in this chair here, and the lads will tell you, and the conversation went on, and it just didn't feel right. I just sat there and I just thought to myself, you know what, we're losing what we're about here. And the lads will tell you exactly what I said. I just almost stopped the meeting a little bit, and I just said, guys, where are we going? What are we doing? We can not have a development team. We can not have a reserve team. We can rein in on this player. We can tell this player they're not going to be able to step up to tier 3. We can tell this player they're not going to be able to step up to tier 3. Why are we doing that? Why are we breaking up the biggest thing that has driven us over the last 3 to 4 years? And that is everything about this club already. Because when you look at that 12-point gap to Donny Bell's last year, that wasn't just about paying expenses, or that was about Stourbridge Football Club and the group that we had together, and the couple of add-ons, or 4 or 5 add-ons that we brought in. And that's what we decided we were going to do, was to be able to go, right, let's see what the group want to do initially, and if they want to stick with it, let's back them. And that's exactly the line we took. So we sat down with the group in this room and said, this is what you need to do. These are the changes that you have to make It is now down to you whether you want to come on board with that tier three journey. As a manager, I want you all to do that. And that's exactly what happened. So we told them what we expected. A week later, I met with every single player, and bar players who've moved on and left, every single one of them have adjusted their lifestyle, including diet, adjusted their schedules, being training 3 times a week and more. And they've fully embraced it, absolutely fully embraced every minute of it to date. And we're seeing, in our opinions, the benefits. We're able to analyse that. We're able to track fitness levels, even more so than ever now, and we're seeing the absolute benefits of that. So I was amazed, and the biggest thing for the group of players is that they've seen faith from us in them, and with that, I'm hoping we get the results, and the returns that we need to make sure we stay and establish ourselves in the league.
So following on from that, there's been a few personnel changes in the summer regarding the playing staff. Are you happy with how that's gone? And is there any more business left to do?
You say playing staff as in players?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. There has. We haven't done as much as we wanted to, purely because, as I said, the scene is massive, absolutely massive. I think Tash, me, and Mike have spoken to every player in the Midlands, but so have Stoke, and so on and so on. So the whole market's been ludicrous, been mad, like I've never experienced it before. Coupled with the fact that we're Stourbridge, we're not a Premier League or a Championship club with a badge and great, fantastic facilities that align with those kind of clubs. So players are seeking that, which is great for them. What we're thinking and where we're feeling is that actually there will be some players that will eventually filter out from some of these clubs towards the start of the season. Jess Lowe, Rosie Embley, who else we brought in? Come on, help me out. De Castro, very early on, that's why I forgot about that one. Another one we're just looking at the moment. We've got another player played a couple of games for us, and he'll play again on Sunday. They're great additions. They strengthen us for sure. So I'm pleased with those, but we're still 2 players short of where I feel we are needing to be to sustain throughout the season. I won't say positions, but 2 players short. So we're still looking for sure.
Just a quick word on the 3 players that you have brought in then. So De Castro, Embley, Lowe, for anyone who doesn't know too much about them. Can you just quickly describe all 3 of them maybe?
Yeah, Lauren I saw 2 or 3 seasons ago. We played when she played for Lungeaton. Absolute nightmare in the midfield when she played that game. I think she had an injury last season at Bolmere. So we're just getting her back up to full speed. Fitness wise, she's absolutely there. There's no issues at all. She's played pretty much now 90 minutes over 2 games. And she's just getting back to confidence and full flow. And once she's back there and she's playing at the best, she's going to be, she's going to turn some heads. So I can guarantee you that, because she's a bit of an animal when she plays and gets going. So she's going to be great. Jess Lowe, very, very similar. You've seen her. You saw her play against us. She terrorised us at times last season when we played Leafield down the right side. And she's proven that. We scored a great goal on Sunday, built from the back, and she finished it off with great power, great fitness levels. And Rosie from Albion is incredibly tidy, great on the ball, great technically, great girl as well. And the biggest thing for us, don't forget players that fit the current mould. We did it last season with your Deezes and your Levics. It's the right player, and these 3 absolutely are. And there's, like I say, potentially maybe a couple more to announce over the next week or so.
One more from myself, Andy, before we start asking some questions from social media. A lot was said last season about the financial powers of Stourbridge. Would you say this season you will be described slightly differently?
Absolutely. There's no people were openly commenting about our expenses and what we could pay, etc. But it's absolutely pennies. It's pennies compared to the clubs in this division, and very similar to what we're hearing. Tier 4 teams are playing below us now. You know, so there's absolutely no difference. But I ain't going to be a manager who goes there and goes, oh, they're paying this money, it's just unfair, or whatever was being said over the last 2 to 3 years. We went ahead of the curve. In many ways, started that curve, and I don't think that's granted to us enough. So fair play to everybody who's doing that, who's been able to get the finances to start backing women's football and do that. So I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what we've done over the last few years. But I'm now excited to take on a different challenge where we are the minnows in a league of financial absolute giants, and to see what we can do and how good we actually can be against all the odds. Because, as I've said to you guys, we are not expected to be in this league. We deserve to be there. We're not expected to be in it.
Andrew, over to yourself.
Yeah, how would you describe your new coaching team, and what are you hoping to get out of them?
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest things. What we did say is that if you're going to keep the current players, what do we need to do? If we're going to tell them to train 3 times a week and add a gym session in, and we've got to put the best team in and around them. And we were a few staff short on that. A goalkeeper coach, a female experienced coach who's been around the level. They're the 2 biggest kind of major additions. S&C with Jack Gallagher is massive. We had levels of that over the last couple of seasons, but we needed it full time. On top of that, a gym which we've got access to. The club have sourced that for us. So we've got all the stuff that the women need, and what people won't be seeing behind the scenes is what, on a Monday, the data and the analysis that's been given to me, and Mike, from a management point of view, to be able to look at the players as a whole, not just how much they've run, their sprint speeds, all that kind of technical stuff that you expect to see in Tier 3, Tier 2, and the Super League is there for us. The amount of passes a player made, do you know what I mean? The amount of interceptions, all that kind of stuff that we kind of had last year, but we now streamline it. So bringing on Luke, who an analyst, he's on board, as the goalkeeper coach, is fantastic. And then Tash is coming in. I don't know whether you've met Tash yet, but she is phenomenal as a character, as a personality. We did a classroom session the other day that she led on about kind of player mentor, being able to speak confidentially to her, being able to chat with her and talk about personal problems as well as football problems. It's all that kind of stuff that we've just added to the diet of the player for that week, and that was key for us. And we've done some great business, and the staffing team's really set, and I'm really pleased with it.
Yeah, just going back to the players, in terms of 2 long-term absentees in Courtney Murphy and Molly May Summers, both who have undergone major surgery in the last 12 to 18 months. How far away do you see them from making?
Molly's in.
Yeah,
Molly's in. Molly's playing, which is fantastic. It's great to see. So we'll be keeping an eye on her and her development. Obviously, always from an ACL, there's an emotional and a mental side of those injuries, so it takes time. But Molly's there and training and playing match time, which is fantastic to see. Courtney has just started her return, which again is amazing. She's running, she's doing her S&C stuff, she's doing her gym work. So that's going to take a little bit more time. That's going to be next year, and I mean year as opposed to footballing season, year. So it's not a million miles away, but there's still time. And the exciting bit about that is that she's running and she's around the football pitch and she's in the gym, which is great.
Yeah, as I said at the start, you said about reflecting on what gone before.
Yeah.
What did you learn as a manager last season that you'll take with you into this season in Tier 3?
Good question. I think when you look back, the biggest thing for us, and even now to this point, is that we're seeking different friendlies at the moment for different reasons. We've got to learn to lose, and we've got to learn to lose quickly, because that's going to happen. There will be times, there may be a time, that we could be on the back of a really heavy defeat. You know what I mean? I don't want that to happen, of course. Nobody wants that to happen. Touch wood, it doesn't. But there is a real potential when you've got Super League Championship players playing against you that you could be on the back of it. So we've got to learn to lose. So when I look back at some of the difficult games last season in terms of your Sheffield first game of the season, you know, your Moors midweek, which was really tough and ugly game, your Cowser, which was tough, entertaining but tough, those kind of points are going to be more important this year. And we've got to get used to being in that position. I think the players are there. I think the players are understanding of that. So from a manager's point of view, it's about being able to grind those kind of results out, or have your Sheffield moment where you lose, and what do you need to do to bounce back? And that was the biggest learning curve from last season, because we're just not used to that, are we, as a group, you know, as a management.
So what do you think will be the biggest challenge for the club as we compete in Tier 3?
The league, the challenge of the league. You know, when you look at that league, even the top 7 or 8, you know, the 2 new teams are Stourbridge and Newcastle United. Newcastle United are professional, Stourbridge aren't. The rest of the teams in that league have all had experience at Tier 3 for a substantial amount of time, and we've got to try and compete and fight with that. That is a challenge in itself. Nottingham Forest missed out on the playoffs by 1 goal from being a championship team. That's our first league fixture, you know. It's just incredible. That is the challenge, but it's an exciting challenge, and it's a challenge we're all so excited to face and see where we pick. Because I tell you what, if this time next year we're still in Tier 3 and I'm sitting here and we've finished above that relegation, miracle workers. It's doable, but on paper it's a miracle working of this group of players, because I haven't gone out and I haven't gone and brought in professional contracts. I've kept all the players that have took us on the journey and added a few extras. So we're working with the current team that has brought us through that journey. So it's going to be incredible if we do that, and that's the biggest challenge for this club.
Yeah, Julian Bark, who asked a question via the Stourbridge women's Twitter account, he said, "Is there a first name in the team sheet? Well, when the full squad is available, and if so, who?"
It's a really tough question, and let me tell you why. You're going to feel like I'm shirking the answer. You know, some of you mentioned Amy Preston. Yes, you know, absolutely, he's goalkeeper. But we've just brought in, you know, maybe some of you don't know, we brought in a Devs reserve keeper who's very good. She's been in and around the England colleges, I believe. So there's challenge there. I could shirt the question, but it's a genuine answer. Is that one thing we said to the group in the classroom session the other day, is that we are now at a professional level, and that professional level is not based around your best 11 being the same week in, week out. When you think about your top clubs, you know, even your Wolves at that last season, the managers were changing the teams because you've got to have faith in the 16 to 20 players that you've got, and it's going to depend on the week that you've had, the levels the players are showing, plus your opposition. So playing Nottingham Forest first game of the season to playing another team in the division is going to look very, very different. So players and playing squad and 11 is going to look different. So, you know, having your top goal scorer in one squad may not be the right decision, playing in another squad, because it might be that, you know, we've got to play in a different way. Does that make sense? So
making use of the whole squad,
making use of the whole squad, and that's one thing we've hammered with the players, especially at the moment, because you know, in pre-season, the 2 pre-season games that we've played in, you know, if you were there, you'd be looking at and going across the whole of the team, every single player, and you wouldn't be able to distinguish between any of them, because they're all performing fantastically well. If you want me to answer, our forward line is looking exceptional. Every single one of them. Neve Deasy's come back like a different animal, and that was it. You know, that's a prime example of a player where we said, you know, you've got to go and do this, this, and this, and she's gone and done this, this, and this, and more, and continuing. Lois Jeffries, for me, in and around this team for her ability, but also just her experience at this level, for me, is one of the players you'd always want to see in and around the team sheet. But there's other players, so not shirking the question, but you know, it's respectful to all the players right now, especially at this point.
Thank you for that, Andy. This is obviously, I appreciate there's a couple of celebrations that you've got going on personally over the next 4 weeks. So best of luck with that as well. We can't wait to get you back here at the start of the season to do a monthly press conference. Is there anything else you'd like to add as well, Andy?
No, just, you know, thank you all for your support and your continued support. It's great. You know, it's going to be great to have you back with us this weekend, for those of you with us. Back at home next weekend. It's been horrible playing behind closed doors. You know, that was an opposition request on both occasions. You know, we want fans there. We're excited. I think it's the proper big one down here is York, the first game in the League Cup. It'll be great to get a big crowd down there. And then am I right in thinking it's Derby potentially?
Yeah.
Wow. You know, when you look at those fixtures, those first 6 fixtures, you know, it was never going to be out of the division that we're in. You were never going to get away from any of those big 6, were you? So, you know, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Albion, Derby, Stoke in the first 6 or 7 or 8. It's fantastic, isn't it? So, yeah, it's good to have you with the journey, and hopefully more of you down as we look to grow the fans and the support really in this fantastic season ahead.
Thank you very much, Andy, and best of luck. See you again soon.
Thank you. Cheers.